to be here with people working in a different field. So I'm thankful to ICOM and CAMOC and the organizing committee to invite me to be here. I have been only a visitor up to now to museums, and sometimes I've been using their facilitations for conferences or what. From today, I would introduce myself as a contributor, and I will enter the museums in another attitude. I am a theoretician of systemic approach, and I am practicing it in the field of therapy. But from what I've already heard, you have a systemic wisdom, probably because of the nature of the context that you are working with. We find also this systemic wisdom in traditional societies, where they are very well connected with nature. They learn by nature by osmosis, not by studying books or being scientists. So if we agree that the purpose is to create, to build sustainable communities, sustainable cities, what can we learn from living systems? Because the living systems nature is the most sustainable paradigm that we have around us. There are 5 principles when we study living systems. The first principle is that nature does not generate garbage. Everything can be used in nature. What about our societies? We, the psychiatrists, we have built garbage places by sending the psychotics to a special place. Nowadays, we do that with drug addicts. Give them methadone and put them aside so they don't bother us, the normal ones. And Giorgio Agamben would say that nowadays, as societies, we create what he called homo sacer. Homo sacer, very briefly, in Roman times, were people they were a kind of sacred, sacer is the same etymology, but someone can kill them and there's no punishment for them. Okay. So we create garbages as societies, or citizens in a state of exception. I will come back to that. So this attitude should help not to create human garbage. The second principle is that diversity reassures resilience in nature. And there is a book by a Greek writer, novel writer, Yannis Kourtsakis for the Greeks, where the title is We the Others. Sometimes I make the mistake and I say we and the others, and he's protesting against me. No, it's we the others. Yeah. And speaking about society, my professor George Vassiliou used to say that through interdependence, we promote our own autonomy. So this principle, that diversity reassures resilience, lead to autonomy being promoted through and for interdependence. And the third principle is that there is a continuing flow of matter, energy, and speaking for society, information. In nature, matter and energy, they flow continuously. Kourtsakis again says that I am unknown, I am a foreigner in places not where I don't know these places or these people, but in places and with people that they don't care to know me. So I would say, for example, that the application of this to your work is that we should first start to get to know the refugees, not to tell them about the Greek civilization or whatever. And speaking about these times, you know that Zygmunt Bauman is speaking about fluid societies. In these fluid societies, this principle is even more important. In traditional Greece, we have our in-group and we survive separately from the other. But now we have to learn how to utilize diversity to promote our own resilience. Networking is the main pattern of life. If you see around to nature, there is no what the big industries do, emerging, πώς λένε, να καταπιώ, swallow the little one. Networking with the other is the pattern of nature. And if we get to create sustainable communities, we have not to isolate immigrants, refugees, and so on, but we have to create networks with them. And today, we speak about co-evolution as the process of evolving. It's not the Darwinian simple evolution. People, living creatures, they grow and they change through co-evolution with the other, their environment, and so on. So actually, the whole Europe is looking at them as how to accept them, how to help them, how to support them. The nature teaches us that we need them in order to survive, in order to be resilient. We don't need to go from an upper position towards meeting them. And if we go to some more theoretical principles, I would utilize chaos and complexity theory. In chaos theory, a new information, a new element creates instability. You have to dissolve the structure existing in order to make room for the new element and the new information, and through that, make room for novelty. But this moment of instability, destabilization, is a very difficult moment because the emotions connected to this phase are fear, insecurity, anger, and so on. This is what we live here in Greece with some communities, that they are destabilized by the new coming. And they don't know that through that, there is an opportunity for novelty. So they close their borders, they close themselves, and they say, stay out. In this crossroad of a new information coming, where a system is far from the equilibrium, there is a greater complexity. You speak about hyperdiversity. This creates great complexity. And where there is a great complexity, there is a higher non-linearity connection. You don't have linear cause and effect situations. You cannot predict what the outcome will be. And this is again fear and insecurity. But the higher, the greater the complexity, the greater the opportunity of non-linearity, of novelty. Of course, novelty is not the only outcome. There might be death. There might be disorganization of a society. If this is going too fast, or what again Giorgio Agamben says about today, crisis is connected to a very short period of time. It's a Greek word, as you know. We say the patient is in a critical situation. This is for some time. We have to make a critical or a κρίσιμη in Greek decision. Or this is a crisis. Can't be 7 years of crisis. Okay? And this does not help the people, the communities, to be open to new information because they are destabilized. This is what Agamben calls people in a state of exception. We have more and more people in a state of exception. We have these days little babies waiting in the airplanes to enter the United States because of Trump's decision. We have movies for people who lived in airports. You know these movies. And this is a real situation in Paris. It has been for some years. Okay? So when you have people in exception for so long period, for so long time, you destroy the opportunity for novelty because they will not accept the new. And they will try to go back to what was before that. And how can we help people in this situation to accept the new and to go to a higher level of complexity, to reorganize again themselves, their families, their communities, and so on? One of my teachers, John Soter, who died unfortunately 2 months ago, he said, you do not plan and you do not cause change. You occasion change. I don't know if the word stands, but this is his expression. We have to occasion change. We are not the ones who can plan, because change usually comes through a process which we call rhizome, coming from up, down, going up, and we have to be, one says that there are people who are builders and there are people who are gardeners. When you build, you finish, and then there's no life. The garden has danger, has his own initiative. You cannot make the flowers blossom the day you want, all the same, and so on and so on. But this is a living process, and I'm glad that I heard you that you learn by doing things, because this is a living process. So you have to be gardeners, not builders. And you have to occasion the rhizomes to develop. And this is the important, that we have to create the atmosphere, the context. You make space for their narratives to be heard and start networking with them. And the last thing, coming from systems approach, in what we call second-order cybernetics, at the beginning, we say that you always speak to an observer, meaning that he is listening and looking at you through his own brain constructions. In second-order cybernetics, we say that there is always an observer speaking to an observer. We are with them, we are speaking with them, we are connecting with them through what constructions do we have, through our culture, our past, whatever, and they are looking at us in the same way. There was one colleague trying to create a film club in a camp, but it was very, very difficult to find films that you can show to people coming from Syria, Iran, Afghanistan, Africa, and so on. He says, no naked women, no leadership shared between men and women, no this, no that. And I was there in the context and I said, only documentaries or Mickey Mouse you can at the same time, because they are observers, and we are also observers. So we have to know our limitations and our preoccupations, and what you already said, and I am giving it to you as a principle of systemic approach, we say that understanding and learning is a process of active participation in a situation. Is not to read, is not to collect information in our mind. Gadamer says that understanding is the result when you enter a situation of discussion, and it is not the matter of putting your own opinion in front, convincing some other, but after this situation of discussion or relation, you become different from what you have entered the room, the situation. So we believe not in being, but in becoming. Try to do this small exercise. We do that when we speak for families in family therapy. We have a discussion with the therapeutic team, and it is forbidden to use the word being in all its forms, speaking about the people. The father was like this, the mother was. You are not allowed to use this word. It is very revealing about our constructions on the people as observers. I hope that you can utilize this. Thank you very much for that.